Okay, we're going to finish up 4.1 with a couple of different ways to represent angles that we haven't seen before. One is a more specific way of measuring degrees, and that is DMS, or degrees, minutes, seconds. And the other is bearing, which is used in navigation and is the angle from due north. So we'll start with DMS here. The thing to know about degrees, minutes, and seconds is that minutes are 1/60th of a degree. Seconds are 1/60th of a minute, or 1/3600th of a degree. So given a measure of an angle that is in degrees, minutes, seconds, like we have right here, we know that 53 degrees, 20 minutes, and 19 seconds, so we could convert to a decimal by saying 53 plus 20/60ths plus 19/3600ths. Okay, and I have that calculated on the calculator over here. 53 plus 20/60ths plus 19/3600ths gives us 53.3386, and then 1 repeating. So one way to type that in is, or to calculate it, is by using the definition of what minutes and seconds are, and then by hitting enter we just get it as a decimal. The other way to do that is to actually use your calculator's angle menu in order to convert. Your calculator above the apps button has a little angle menu, so if we hit second apps, we'll get to that menu. So I'm going to type that 53 degrees, 20 minutes, and 19 seconds in here. So 53, and then second apps to the angle menu. We want number 1 for the degree symbol. And then we have 20 minutes, so I'm going to go back to that angle menu. Notice there's degrees, and then there's minutes. There's no seconds here at all, which is that double quotation there. Okay, so we're going to have to go somewhere else for that in a second here. But right now we want that minutes symbol, so number 2. For the seconds, once we type in 19, seconds is actually right above the plus sign. So we'll hit alpha plus, and it puts the seconds in. And when I hit enter, that'll convert it to a decimal measure as well. So we can answer number 15 here, convert that same measure to the nearest thousandth, would be 53.339 degrees. And you could use either method. You could use the actual definition, or you could use your calculator. Both scientific and graphic calculators will have that DMS option on them. If you want to go the other way, once you have the measure typed in, okay, so I'm looking at number 16 here, we'll type in 34.843. They want us to convert that to degrees, minutes, and seconds. So if I type that in, I go to that angle menu, second angle. Number 4 is the conversion to degrees, minutes, seconds. So if I hit number 4, it'll tell us exactly what that is as degrees, minutes, and seconds. 34 degrees, 50 minutes, and 34.8 seconds. The second thing we're going to look at today is bearing. Bearing is the angle from due north. So north itself is considered 0 degrees. East would be 90 degrees, so we're going to move clockwise here. South is 180, and west is 270. Halfway between our cardinal directions would be 45 degrees. So this is 45, this is 135, and so on. And then halfway between those would be 22.5 degrees. I'm just going to use that to help me calculate some other values here. So when it asks us for southeast, in number 17A here, southeast, I already have marked down here, is 135 degrees. That is a bearing of southeast, 135. West, northwest, is 22.5 degrees past the 270. So that's going to be 292.5. Then it asks us to find a compass bearing closest to each angle. 145 here is closest to southeast. And 318 degrees. Note this is 292.5. This is 315 here. So 318. Will be closest to that northwest, just a little bit past northwest. So the important thing to remember is that bearing is always a degree measure from due north, and it moves clockwise. So number 19, it says the captain of the tourist boat Julia out of Oak Harbor follows a bearing of 38 degrees for 2 miles and then changes to a bearing of 47 degrees for the next 4 miles. And then it wants us to draw a sketch. So let's just start with Oak Harbor right here. Due north, I'm just going to lightly draw this in here. This is 0 degrees. That's due north. If we follow a bearing of 38 degrees for 2 miles, 38 degrees, I'll clean this up a little bit here. 38 degrees would mean you're almost at northeast. So 38 degrees would be approximately northeast. They follow that for 2 miles and they change to a bearing of 47 degrees for the next 4 miles. So if this is 2 miles here, I want to make my 4 miles be twice as long. But now that bearing is 47 degrees. Well, due north again from this spot is right there. So a bearing of 47 degrees from that spot right there would be just past northeast. So a little bit more of an angle. But I'm going to try to follow that. I'm going to run out of room here, but I try to follow that twice as long as what I did originally. Because that was 4 miles compared to the 2 miles that I started off with. So my sketch is not all that great right here. So we are at 38 degrees for 2 miles. And then twice the distance at a bearing of 47 degrees. Now they want us to convert a bearing of 140 degrees to radian measurement. So 140 degrees as a bearing would be from north. We know that this would be 180 degrees. This would be 90 degrees. And this would be 135, halfway into the fourth quadrant there. So 140 is going to be a little bit past that. Okay, now the important thing is Well, let's remember about reference angles. A reference angle, since I went past this first x-axis here by 50 degrees, my reference angle is 50 degrees. What we want to do is find out what this would be in standard form. In standard form, then, this is 310 degrees. That's kind of the most important step here, is figuring out what you are in standard form first. Now we can convert that to a radian measure. So 310 degrees, to convert to radian measure, we want pi radians over 180 degrees. The multiple of 10 and the degrees cancel out, and we're left with 31 pi or 18 radians. So find out what you are in standard form. And then convert that to a radian measure.